this lady out of nowhere just goes, "You're about to quit, aren't you?" And I was like, yeah.
There's always moments that you want to give up. Being 100, it's easier to quit. But then I remind myself, if I quit, then what?
God calls the unqualified, and what God has for you is for you. There's literally nothing that can take you away from it.
My name is Derrex Brady. I'm a father, I'm a husband, actor, producer, writer, now director. I remember watching TV with my mother literally before I could even talk. And it's some of my favorite times with my mother. We would go to the movies and see like double features. And then by the end of the movie, I asked her a million questions and I was totally like, mesmerized by it. And so it's no doubt that as I grew and got into other expressions of myself, that I wanted to be an actor. And so I kind of found my way, before acting actually, into music. I was in this group called Project X. We had a deal on Interscope on a small label. This artist named Giorgio had a label, got a deal with Interscope, and we were on there doing music. And I was like, this is not my expression. This is not what I want to do. I want to act. And all my family was like, you just don't want a job. I was like, no, I really want to act. Within a month, I booked my first national commercial and just went on from there. So that's how I found my way into acting. Faith is an interesting thing, especially to be in this business, you gotta have it. But there was a time where it was weak. There was a time where I thought, I don't know if I'm gonna do this anymore. When I first started acting, I started booking fairly quickly, and I was booking multiple jobs. And so I started off playing, a teenager, and then as I grew older, would do older roles, and I went to college, I was doing college roles. But then there's this phase for me that I couldn't play the kid anymore that was in high school, and I couldn't play the guy that was in college. I hadn't walked into full manhood, aesthetically. So I was in limbo, and everything that I used that helped me book and work, it stopped. Thank the Lord for commercials, because I was able to still make a living through commercials, but theatrically it stopped. And I remember I actually was on a project with Jamila. She wrote a project called In Between, and I did that project. And I remember in that project, I was sitting there and I was thinking in between takes, I don't know. I don't know if this is for me anymore. Because I was praying to God, like, tell me what you want me to do. If you don't want me to do it anymore, God, I'll stop. I don't want to keep banging my head against the wall, and you told me to go somewhere else. And I remember this lady out of nowhere just goes, "You're about to quit, aren't you?" And I was like, yeah. She goes, "You've been thinking about it." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Don't." She said, "It's your season. It's coming. It's your season." So I thought, that's interesting. And then Jamila, through her church, they have this prayer night, Bible study on Thursday nights, and she was like, "You should come, because sometimes the pastor will, he'll prophesy over you, he'll pray over you, and he'll give you some insight." So I went, and sure enough, I remember he was way across the room, and I was like, "God, if this dude is real," I was like, "make him turn around now. It come to me now." The pastor turned around, the preacher turned around, and he started making his way to me all the way across the room, and he gets ready to pass me, and he backs back up, and he goes, "Brother, can I pray for you?" And I said, "Yes." And I come down, he prays, and then he goes to tell me, "It is your season." And he was like, everything that failed, it's gonna start to work. All the no's, you're gonna start hearing yeses. Don't give up. And then there was another person that did it. So there were 3 people that came to me and said, with the same quote, "It's about to be your season." And sure enough, on that project, In Between, I met Deji Leray. Well, I actually worked with Deji Leray on another movie called Killing Lazarus, directed by a good friend of mine, Desmond. But Deji comes to me and goes, "Hey man, I wrote a script, you should check it out." And I was like, okay, cool. And that's it, really nonchalant. I read it within 3 days, got back to him and said, "Hey man, I think this is the character I could really give life to. I would love to be a part of it." We did the pilot, and 5 years later, they were able to sell the show and get it on Bounce TV, and they just gave me the role as a series regular, playing Jarvis Johnson on Johnson. And it's just wild that 3 people told me it was about to be my season, And it didn't mean it was right now, but that it was coming. And the very person that I met on that project where I was hearing it's about to be my season literally gave me a script and gave me a role. That told me, whether in the valley or in the mountains, go with God's timing. Divine time is going to be perfect, not your time. And just trust. And so it's built my faith, and it lets me know, just continue the path, continue the prayer, and believe it's your season. What I would tell someone who is about to give up is don't. Now, it is important, I believe, to make sure that you're in step with God. And it's interesting because there's a fine line between faith, tenacity, focus, will, and force, right? Force is different. That's separate. You really want to make sure that you're in step with God so that you can use your talents and multiply them. And so there's a lot of praying, a lot of listening. But I would tell the person, stay focused, believe in you, continue to listen to God, continue to talk to God through prayer, and just continue to do the work. It's hard not to lift your head up to see where you at and what's your progress, but it will come. Your opportunity will come. And so really, sometimes the length of time before you really get that opportunity is really just prepping you so that you can handle it when that blessing arrives. So I would say, just stay the course, stay focused, keep doing the work, believe in you, and trust God's timing, because it's perfect. I would tell my younger self that God didn't make a mistake with you. I would tell my younger self that you're enough. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to continue to learn and grow, but that you're enough. And it's okay to love you. God made you perfect. And I would tell my younger self, it's okay to have fear, and it's okay for you to conquer it, because God gave you what you need to conquer it. I would tell my younger self, it's already written for you to do amazing things, and so enjoy the journey. I think if my younger self saw me now, he'd be like, that's what I'm gonna look like? No. I think my younger self would also say, thank you for continuing the journey so that we could live our dream. When I think of unstoppable, I think of determination. When I think of relentless, I think faith. When I think of determined, I think of my acting career. When I think of can't stop, won't stop, I think of continue to grow with my craft and continue to raise my stock.